Thanks for stopping by. I did not know that classic TV edition. Please like and subscribe.
I'll think about it.
That's all I ask.
Hi everyone, do you need a laugh and enjoy funny memes and videos? Check out my brand new channel, Freshly Baked Memes and Other Stuff. Just click on the link below. Now, on with the show. A few years back, I made a video called The Greatest Cartoon Superheroes You Might Never Have Heard of. It garnered some mild interest, but over the last couple months, for some reason, it suddenly gained some traction, and I've had some requests to feature some other awesome forgotten superhero cartoons from back in the day. So I thought I'd do another video on some great but mostly forgotten superhero cartoons from so long ago. There are so many great cartoons that I never got to see for myself from back then because of my circumstances. I had to attend catechism classes on Saturdays, and the classes always started in the fall, and they always seemed to start on the very same Saturday that all the new cartoons premiered. It wasn't until the next summer that I finally got to see some of them. Unfortunately, by that time, some were already gone or replaced with other summer programming. And as many of you know, there was no way of recording them back then, which leads me to our first program. I remember watching all the great promo commercials for the Herculoids, and I was really pumped up about this one. But sadly, it only lasted one season, and it must not have been rerun over the summer. So it wasn't until sites like YouTube came along that I was ever able to actually watch an episode. So watching it now, I try to look at them through the eyes of a 1960s kid. The Herculoids really have a Mitor type feel to it, with its primitive planet and strange creatures. The music and the sound effects also are very similar. I'll let the program's narrator describe the characters on the show.
Somewhere out in space live the Herculoids. Zuk, the laser ray dragon. Igu, the giant rock ape. Tundro, the tremendous. Gloop and Bleep, the formless, fearless wonders. With Xandor, their leader. And his wife Tara and son Dorno. They team up to protect their planet from sinister invaders.
I have to admit I was very impressed with this one, and in fact, if I'd been able to watch it back in the day, it might have beaten out Mitor and Frankenstein Jr. as my favorites. It basically had everything a kid wants: monsters, aliens, dinosaurs, and Dorno, a kid who gets to join the fight against monsters and invaders. As you can see, the cartooning was excellent. For a moment I was puzzled how this great cartoon only lasted 1 year, and then I remembered Peggy Sharon and her group called Action for Children's Television. You can learn more about her in my first video that I'll link below. Shows like Space Ghost, the Herculoids, and Frankenstein Jr. were pretty much stopped in their tracks after 1967, and they either disappeared, were watered down, or just shown in reruns. Peggy didn't like them because they had what she called wall-to-wall monsters and thought there was too much violence in them. But back to the Herculoids. I think my favorite of the Herculoids is Igu, the giant rock ape, who is kind of a cross between the Thing and King Kong. Anyway, I love the show. So let's move on to The Impossibles. I have to admit, I let my feelings get in the way in the first video because I felt that Frankenstein Jr. always got cut short because it had to share a time slot with them. I learned from the comments in the first video that there are a lot of people who really love this classic superhero cartoon team. The opening sequence introducing the team was excellent.
Presenting Frankenstein Jr. at The Impossibles. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Impossible.
The team was a rock group called The Impossibles, whose secret identity were the superheroes known as The Impossibles. The team was made up of 3 members: Coil Man, who could stretch himself or spring or bounce at enemies to avoid them. He could also drill through walls. There was Fluid Man, who could change into liquid form and do things like enter into the plumbing and come out of water faucets. Then there was Multi-Man, who could duplicate himself over and over again. As I looked into this cartoon, I found something kind of interesting about Multi-Man. In 1965, a year before The Impossibles aired, the Flintstones had an episode that featured a rock group called The Way Outs. When the group enters, you'll notice that each member of the Way Outs looks exactly the same. Almost like it's really just one man duplicating himself, and he looks remarkably similar to Multiman. So maybe Multiman was really the entire band of the Way Outs before he joined the Impossibles. Or more likely, Hanna-Barbera liked the look of that character for their idea of rock group superheroes and made him a member of the Impossibles. Anyway, the show had a lot of imagination, and some of the stranger villains you'll encounter, like a man who turns himself into a paper doll, or the Inflator, a villain who could inflate huge balloons and make them come to life and make them commit crimes for him. As long as we're talking about superhero teams, let's go with the Mighty Heroes next. If you thought the Impossibles were strange, the Mighty Heroes took it up a notch. Well, maybe a whole lot of notches. Unfortunately, this one was here and gone quickly. It was shown on CBS for the 1966 season and originally appeared as a segment of Mighty Mouse. My friends and I thought it was hilarious, and our favorite on this team was Diaper Man, of course. Not only because he was a superhero that looked like a baby and had the deep voice of a man, but he used his bottle as a weapon. Even better, he could drink from his baby bottle to give himself or others added strength. To an 8-year-old, it doesn't get any better than that. And he did it all wearing a diaper. The original show debuted on CBS in 1966 and ran for only one season with 20 episodes. The characters on this team were Strongman, Rope Man, Tornado Man, Cuckoo Man, and Diaper Man. Strongman, of course, had super strength, and he had the voice of a country hick. Years later, it was revealed that his real name was Gomer Steed, and I'm guessing his personality was modeled a bit after Gomer Pyle, a popular show back in the day. Rope Man had a British accent and could turn himself into a rope whenever he wanted to. Of course, he was good at lassoing things or tying things up, but he also got tangled up quite a bit. Tornado Man was a weather forecaster who could turn himself into a tornado and engulf things in his whirlwind. Cuckoo Man was a pet store owner who had the ability to turn himself into a bird-like man who could fly. I always thought he was a waste and useless. He didn't really fit in with the rest of them because he didn't seem to have any real purpose other than to shout, "Cuckoo!" and usually screw things up or get in the way. In 1998, Marvel Comics brought them back for one issue. The formula for each episode was the same. Meet the villain and his monster henchmen, have the Mighty Heroes fight them, and appear to be defeated as the show went to commercial. But then, miraculously, get out of the predicament when the show returned and defeat the bad guy and his monsters. Each episode ended with the Mighty Heroes victorious and flying off into the distance. While it wasn't a serious superhero show, it had other elements that I think most kids really enjoyed. Well, that's it for this one. I've got a list of more of these forgotten classic cartoon superheroes, and we'll do more if people have an interest. You might want to check out 2 other superhero shows that I did. Anyone remember Captain Nice and Mr. Terrific? I'll put some links for that one and some other cartoons I've focused on below. Hey, thanks so much for stopping by.